some outstanding science programs. Just today,
Is that right?
NASA just announced 10 universities that will receive a $5 million grant to work on STEM. And Delaware State was part of that process, and it's something that is consistent with what we have on campus. If you come on campus, you'll see a brand new science building that's going up.
Yes.
State-of-the-art facilities, $18 million facility, and it aligns perfectly with what we've been talking about in terms of elevating our programs and making sure that we have programs that are relevant and also competitive, and we're being responsive to the community in terms of creating an opportunity for underrepresented students to go into the STEM disciplines, and that's something that we take a great deal of pride in.
So I see that Delaware State we have a campus on DuPont High.
Right.
How can we draw more students from the Wilmington area to Delaware State University? Because I need a lot of information on Delaware State, so I can promote you.
Right. And that's one reason why we're here tonight in Wilmington.
Excellent.
Is because we want to get the word out in Wilmington.
Yes, sir.
We for some reason people feel that 45 minutes down the road is a long way, and just get on Route 1 and come on down south. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're here tonight, is to not only connect with our alums in this area, but also to celebrate the students that are going to be graduating. And just for some information, we have a very strong Kent County alumni chapter. And for those high school seniors that are graduating, and if you can apply for alumni scholarship from the Kent County chapter. And that is something that we want to get the word out to, because it's a great scholarship for students who are graduating from Kent County Public High School.
I know that we're having an August quarter, because our August quarter celebration starts in August.
Right.
And one of the things I like to see is I'm an HBCU person for the August quarter. Do you think it's possible?
Well, actually, we came in, they just celebrated the major, centennial.
Yes.
It was incredible, and our band was there, so we love participating.
2 years ago,
And so that is something we like to do, and if the students are in town, they'll come up here and be a part of that, because that's part of our history, it's part of our legacy.
Yes, sir. But I really appreciate you. Thank God for you, and I appreciate everything that you're doing in the lives of people. Good evening, and welcome to HBCU Delaware Talks. Thank you again for allowing we, to come into your living room and talk to you about some of the historically black colleges and universities, and talk about what's going on and how HBCUs are in demand in our community, in our state, in our country. I have a couple guests on this evening. One young lady from Bennett College and another gentleman from Delaware State, a recent graduate from Delaware State University. Welcome to the show. If you could just introduce yourself as you please, and we just talk about some of the things that you do.
My name is Tori McElrath. I am from Bennett College, which is in Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm representing Mother African Union Church.
Awesome. And your name?
My name is Marcus Smith. I'm a recent graduate of Delaware State University, majoring in mass communications with a concentration in public relations and advertising.
Really?
Yes,
tell me about Delaware State. How was it you recently graduated?
Yes,
right?
sir.
Good. Tell me a little bit about your tenure or your time at Del State.
Oh man, Del State was, I loved it. Del State was, there's a slogan that we like to go by at Del State,
Sure.
and it really is making your mark on the world. And really, Del State is what you make it. Like, I know when I first came in, I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Sure.
And I've found my passions just in being Del State, with all the different clubs, the diversity there. It's an HBCU, but there's really a lot of different things that Del State has to offer.
I often find that even attending the HBCU, one thing that you learn is leadership qualities. You already have them prior to going in, but they bring them out more because you really have to go through something. You're not going to just go to an HBCU and graduate like it's easy. You have to have your challenges in order for you to become successful. Tell me about Bennett.
Well, Bennett College was founded in 1873, and we are one of two historically black colleges in the United States that is for just women. So a lot of the women that come from Bennett College or Spelman College are, you know, a lot of the women that are graduating from there, they become leaders, doctors, you know, very prominent women.
And how long have you been out of Bennett?
I graduated in 2009.
2009? Yes. What are you doing these days?
Right now I'm working as a mentor coordinator. I also do a lot of stuff in the community. I'm also a youth minister at Mother African Union Church. So I do a lot of things in the community with youth and children.
Awesome. I know that when you speak of the church, I know that the historically black colleges and universities were founded from the black church. And I think it's a really good connection between the churches and the HBCU. So one of the reasons as to why we have the HBCU Delaware Coalition is to grow Wilmington, grow our historically black colleges in Wilmington. Delaware State being the only HBCU in Delaware, we really have to promote you. We really have to show you all in the community, because we really can grow this city, this state, this country. We have too many historically black college and university graduates or alumni for us not to be impacting our city as we should. In regards to the Mother Church, tell me about the event that's coming up in February.
We are hosting a historically black college Sunday. We've called it I Love My HBCU Sunday, and it's on February 14th. We're going to celebrate and talk about different HBCUs nationwide and abroad. We're welcoming everyone. If you're an alumni, if you're a prospective student, whoever, we really want to lift up HBCUs because they have been such an important part, as you said, from coming from the black church and educating our children. So,
you know, also with the awesome with the Mother Church, the August Quarterly celebration will be coming up in August, of course, and that's a time when we like to celebrate everybody, the historical black colleges, the churches, and I'm not just talking about some churches, I'm talking about every church in Delaware to come, or even from abroad, even Philadelphia, New Jersey. This has to be big. Our HBCU community has to be big. Why? We have too many too many kids dying because their lack of skills. And if you look what's going on in the city of Wilmington, a lot of our little boys are getting killed. And we don't, and we should actually be out there helping them, giving them skills. Not money, we have to give them a skill set. So because if they have the skill set, then they're able to think differently. You know, because sometimes when you don't have a skill, you're thinking money, and you're thinking how to survive. You're in survival mode. So if you have skills, you tend to work, you know, towards that skill, and you're not doing things that's going to hurt or harm. So we need you. I need you. I need you all to join the HBCU Delaware Coalition. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing now that you're out of college.
Okay, well, currently, right now, as of today, I freelance. I do a lot of like graphic design work.
Sure.
I make logos. In the meantime, I've done a few advertising campaigns. Other than that, I do some writing work here or there. Okay. But I'm really looking for another, like I'm looking for something steady in the communications field, albeit in Delaware or a nearby city.
So even though you're not in your field, you're still looking for employment of something that's going to help you pay if you have any loans. Do you have
yes, absolutely. Yes, I'm definitely trying to pay back Sally Mae.
Sure. You're working on student loans.
Yeah.
That's why it's important for the HBC to create, build, use some of these abilities so we can make the loan process easy for you. So we can even use some of your skills and or talents to find out a way, put you in a think tank, find out a way we can actually make college a little cheaper, because it's kind of expensive. When I was in college years ago, I graduated from Norfolk State in 1986. And during that time, it was $8,000 a year.
Wow.
Out of state. So it's different now, and it's kind of hard. And a lot of folks now, or a lot of people now, they're not focused on college. And we got to get our babies back and let them know that we need them to be in college. We could be the strongest people ever if we come together and work together. One of the things I find us doing is that if I don't like you, I'm not going to support you. And that's not how it's supposed to be. I may not be like you, but I need to support you because we all have abilities where where our city can be successful, where you could be safe, you know, and where your talents could be shown throughout our community. Just like I'm glad you're here from Delaware State. I'm glad you're here from Bennett because people, students, they need to see you. Avid programs, like if you ever go back to your high school, by the way, what high school did you go to or attend?
Oh, I went to Christiana High School.
And how about you?
I went to Concord High School.
Concord High School, awesome. I teach at the Brandywine School District at Tally Middle School. But here's the deal. I noticed that you all didn't experience segregation. See, you experienced desegregation. I experienced segregation and I experienced desegregation. In 1979, 78, I was at Wilmington High School, which is now the charter school, Cab Calloway. I don't know why they closed Wilmington High School down, but we don't have any high schools in the city of Wilmington. We need to work on that. How about HBCU, Wilmington Private School District? I'm just putting that out there. But anyway, just going to Wilmington High School in 1978, then being bussed out to McCain High School, which I graduated. I mean, I kind of understand both sides. If you ask me, did desegregation work? I kind of understand both sides. If you ask me, did segregation work? Again, I kind of understand both sides. And I tell you what happened. It worked for me, both sides, because now I'm able to persevere. I'm able to understand, you know. And so it has its positives on both sides. Right now, and as far as the community is concerned, I don't know what's going on. Do you have an idea? What can we do to help our youth?
Well, one of the things that I really try to kind of instill in the youth that I interact with on a pretty regular basis is, you know, you have to know yourself. You have to know who you are, and I mean, even if you don't know yet, you have to kind of be on a path to really, you know, finding out who you are. And sometimes, you know, even if it's difficult, particularly for Black children, to really kind of find out who they are, their history and different things like that.
Sure.
You really, and that's why it's so important for them to really know what HBCUs are, because, you know, you'll find out a lot of things that you weren't taught in school. You'll find out when you definitely go to an HBCU. You know, that you find just even in your HBCU that you have a lot of history just in your HBCU. And I know that's one of the things that I really try to get my youth to.
Definitely, and it's, you know, to piggyback off what you just said, definitely, I think the best way to help children are, you know, to make sure that, you know, like as the teacher, to make sure that you know yourself in teaching them,
Sure.
but also to, you know, make sure that they can identify with themselves. So I feel like, you know, every student, whether they be Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, every person has their own specific talent that they can, you know, bring forward. And I feel like when they're operating within their destiny, their right path, then they'll be an asset to themselves and to other people.
You know, it's interesting that we talk a lot about Black and white. We do less talk about wrong and right. I see that today we talk about Black Lives Matter, and Black lives do matter. All lives matter, and we somehow have to come together and work as a people, because Martin Luther King talked about equality. You know, he talked about content of character. When are we going to get there to talk about the content of character? When are we going to be seen as just people instead of being judged, you know, on how we look, or the way we dress, or the way we smell, or the way we think? We all are thinkers, and we all have to come together in this world and get somehow go away from the disparities. And I know that it's going to be hard, but it's going to take some time. And with that being said, I'm going to go to a commercial break, because we have some other guests coming on from Delaware State University. We have the student side now, we're going to have the professor side, and we want to just make this a conversation to talk about the Black Lives Matter, the lives matter. And don't go away. Please don't go away. Don't touch that dog. Well, since we haven't gone off the air yet, Norfolk State University, I really enjoyed Norfolk State in those days. And one thing I found about Norfolk State, there was a lot of love from our professors. There was a lot of love from the people from the South. And when we were at Norfolk State, I tell you what, I felt like I was at home. It was a place to be somebody. And I bet you get the same feeling at your college or university. And every time you go back, if you haven't been back to a homecoming, when you go back to your homecoming, it's just like you just left, right?
Yes.
So, and I find that to be some of the good things. In our community, our kids in the community, they don't all know about the good times that you had. What was one of the best times you have had at Del State University? Before graduation?
Before graduation?
Yes, sir.
Oh man, my first homecoming at Del State, it literally changed my life. I've never experienced anything like that. It was just of course, you know, the football game, you know, the food, the alumni, the people, the Greek life, like just everything that you've seen there. It almost gives you that feeling of, like, if you've ever seen one of those movies, like a Drumline or like, you know, some movie like that, like it literally gives you that feeling. And homecoming at an HBCU is a feeling I would not trade for the world.
Wow. How about you, Bennett?
I would have to say one of my best, I would kind of culminate it into a multiple type of moments.
Sure.
But we have a program at Bennett College. It's called ACES. And it's basically an enrichment program. We have it every Tuesday and Thursday. And we have to dress professionally because we have guest speakers coming in. And, you know, they come and talk and they speak about different things. And we've just had some really dynamic women come in and talk to us as students. And some of them, we had Maya Angelou come one time. We had Oprah Winfrey come one time. And just those two women were just amazing. And just seeing them and being there with my sisters, because when we're at Bennett, we call each other Bennett sisters.
Okay.
So being there with my sisters and seeing these prominent women sitting before you and sharing knowledge and things like that, it was just really great.
Awesome. We're going to go to a break for a couple minutes. Please don't leave the show. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, under the direction of William Bethel with the assistance of Stephanie Sanders, we build the deeds who render all you Aggies a slight read. You rant and rave about the Aggie pride, but in reality, it's a bunch of Aggie jive. And now, Spartan Legion, let the heavens resound to the thunder of your magnificent sound, and let every musical measure be the source of auditory pleasure. and goal. We have set the pace for the tremendous
Something about the historically black colleges and university marching bands. By the way, that was the Legion, the Marching Spartan Legion. Behold. Okay, part two. We have other guests here from Delaware State University. Sometimes we talk to the students, but now we want to talk to the professors and the ones that are the heart and soul. That, did I say that right? Heart and soul? That makes everything go at Delaware State. I have with me Dr. Marshall Stevenson from the College of Arts and Humanities and Social Studies. Welcome to the show. Also have Dr. Donna Patterson, Associate Professor of History and Director of Africana Studies. Welcome to the show. And I have Mr. Carlos Holmes, who is the
Director of News Service.
Director of News Service at Delaware State. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you all came, and I really do thank you and appreciate that you're here. We were talking earlier about disparities. We were talking about Black Lives Matter. We were talking about All Lives Matter. You're here to talk to us about a symposium, I understand, that's coming up at Delaware State. Can you tell me more about it?
Sure. Well, as you know, February is Black History Month, and we are having a symposium basically commemorating and acknowledging the 50th year anniversary of the formation of the Black Panther Party. And we felt that that would be important because basically the Black Panther Party was formulated because of police brutality in the city of Oakland in California in the mid-60s. And that is our issue today. 50 years later, we've come full circle, and police brutality, police murders, deaths of blacks, African Americans in our community is front and center in the news. So we felt it was very important to put on a historic program to let our students know that this is something that's really been ongoing.
Awesome. When is that date?
That is February 3rd. We start at 6 p.m. We're showing a film, a new film by producer Stanley Nelson called Black Panthers, Vanguard of the Revolution. And then on February the 4th, Thursday, we will have none other than one of the co-founders of the Black Panther Party, Mr. Bobby Seale. He will speak at 11 a.m. in the Martin Luther King Student Center. And then in the afternoon, we will have two panels, one of scholars, Dr. Charles Jones and Dr. Alondra Nelson, who have written on the Black Panther Party. And then we will have some former Black Panthers, Ms. Lynn French and Paul Coates will be with us on February the 4th.
Awesome, awesome. And this is all taking place at Delaware State.
Yes.
Free and open to the public.
Free and open to the public. That's during the day. How am I going to get off of work? Probably not, but I'm going to try, especially for the evening.
Well, the documentary is at night.
Is at night,
So that's
Wednesday night,
so
yes.
definitely. Appreciate it. Dr. Patterson, tell me about what you do at Delaware State University, man.
I do two main things. I teach history.
Yes.
This semester I'm teaching a number of courses dealing with the African diaspora, African history, African American history, and Africana Studies seminar. And I also direct the Africana Studies program. And the Africana Studies program is, teaching these classes, but also programming. And as a part of that programming, we're one of the co-sponsors of this event for the Black Panthers that will be held February 3rd and February 4th.
Awesome. I don't even know that they were a part of the curriculum. That would be awesome if they could add that to the curriculum in the state of Delaware. I don't know that it's going to happen, but it should, because we really need to know more about our history. That can propel us or shoot us forward as far as our youth are concerned. I was born in '63, so I kind of know a little about the Black Panther movement. I definitely know about Martin Luther King. In fact, I was 5 when he was assassinated, and I recall the time his coffin or his casket was on a train and it came through the state, just like Bobby Kennedy's. So I think that was an awesome time in history during those times as well. It wasn't, it might have been a lot of crime, but I don't recall during that time was a lot of black on black crime. Can you tell me, with the symposium coming up, that can change the mindset of our youth today? Because I see it was like just a tight-knit family during those times in the 60s, in the 70s. But now, for some reason, we lost. I don't know, what did we lose?
Well, I think as you and I were talking earlier, for so long, African Americans have fought to integrate into American society. We have been segregated, we've had inferior education, we've had employment opportunities that were not the same as the majority population. And over the last 50 years, we fought for this, and now we still have challenges, but we basically have integrated into American society. And the great irony is that during segregation, you could only buy from a black business, okay? You could only go to a black establishment,
Sure.
a black funeral parlor, for example. Whereas now, you have the choice to go anywhere. And most of us, African Americans, for the most part, shop at other establishments that are not black owned. And of course we have the choice and freedom to do that, but as I said, I think the unity, the bonding, whereas you almost had to, now you have a choice and there's not as much economic solidarity as we had in the past. And that's important and something that's missing in our communities today.
And how do we bring, Mr. Holmes, you could jump in any time. You may jump in any time. How do we bring that back? How do we begin to support each other, one another, today, as opposed to yesterday? Well, you all were supporting each other. Today, we're not. And I'm just curious, how do we bring that togetherness back? Anybody?
I think that comes from education. Like, I think that, I know, I'm sure that in the past, that stuff was talked about, not necessarily in the classroom, but it starts at home. I know that now we don't talk, I can say that like as a millennial,
Sure.
we don't talk about that. That's just something that, it's not necessarily taboo, but it's just one of those things where it's not talked about, and if it is talked about, then it's it's criticized, or it's like downplayed, like, oh, you're just being that kind of way. Like, it's really frowned upon.
Anyone else? I see when we talk black and white, people cringe, like, everyone is like, we so scared or so afraid to talk about black or white because we look at the racism, we look at disparities, but we don't look at wrong and right. And some things with black, some things that are happening to black people is just wrong. And I get it. Some things that happen to white folk, just wrong. It's more prevalent in our community. What can we do to be heard, get our voices out where we had enough?
I think it comes with, as the young man said here, in the home, it starts there, but then it has to branch out. The bedrock of the black community has been the black church. And so the churches need to become more energized. The activists, the politicians who run for office need to link within the community. Again, there needs to be more solidarity. And there just needs to be a focus on the importance of black lives.
Sure.
And when you look at the statistics, there are still so many disparities and so many African American young people who have limited opportunities to be able to go to college. And one of the things that we do at Delaware State University is to go out into the community and to give young people, African Americans, of course all, but especially our people, a opportunity to get a college degree and get a good job.
Awesome. As far as Ms. Bennett, college, what do you think as far as opposed to, because you wasn't born in the 60s, I'm aware of that, but how is it for you as far as a job market? How is it for you as far as black, white, in your generation, in your age group?
Well, I see, just different people doing, different things in the community. And I know for me and my specific group of friends, we tend to do a lot in our community.
Sure.
We try, as much as we can to really reach out to the youth. Because I really think, our movement as black people cannot continue if we don't energize our youth, if we don't, empowerment, if we don't teach them, what it is, why the movement even in the first place.
Okay.
So I think if we just can continue to empower our youth and make them the focus, not saying that everyone else isn't as important, but in order for this to keep going, in order for us to really reach where we need to reach as far as a people, we really need to energize our youth and get them to, come to know who they are and really teach them who they are.
Sure. Dr. Patterson, Africana Studies, can you tell me a little bit about the Africana, am I saying it correctly? Africana Studies. Can you tell me a little bit about the Africana Study, how it applies to today?
Okay. Well, Africana Studies itself is a discipline. It combines African American studies and African studies. So different disciplines, history, political science, linguistics, different things. Our program at Delaware State is small, but it's growing. And we have courses, we have a seminar course, we have an introduction to Africana Studies course, we also have a literature course, and we also have other courses in other departments, in history and political science and English. There's Swahili language and African language that's offered, so other courses that then apply to the program. But Africana Studies itself as a discipline really branches different parts of the African diaspora. So we look at black people throughout the world. And so the issues of what's going on here in terms of Black Lives Matters or the history of the Black Panther Party, but also what's happening in South Africa, because right now in South Africa, for instance, students have been protesting. They want their fees lowered to go to school, and they've been protesting about that, and they've been protesting about some of the decisions that the president is making. And so these things are affecting not only students here and people here, but also globally. So we talk about some of those issues, both within certain spaces, but also intersections between different parts of the globe.
Am I African American? Am I African? Because African, the folk that are really from Africa, they don't call us African, they call us American. So like being an African American, who am I? See, they know who they are. Like my last name's Washington. What is my last name? I mean, Washington, understand Washington George was a slave owner, and he passed on from syphilis, and I understand that George and Martha, she didn't have any kids. That's the extent of the history I know about Washington. So if she didn't have any kids, that's why there are a lot of African American Washingtons as opposed to white American Washingtons. I don't know of any other than George and Martha. So I'm curious as to who I am.
Okay.
Isn't that a mindset? I mean, you should know who you are.
I know I'm saying.
You should know who you are. I mean, some cleave more towards believing in their African roots, and
Sure.
you see that in their dress, you see that in their mindset. Many of us are just African American.
Okay.
Some of us believe we're Americans.
See?
You know?
And I know I'm putting it out there,
One of the things that I was talking with Dr. Patterson about in our demographics at Delaware State University, one of the demographic numbers that have gone up is the unknown number. And those are typically students that don't want to be checked black or white. They come from a mixed background, and they don't want to be classified in one of those areas. They would just rather be themselves. So we have a lot of unknowns. That number's gone up, okay, from where it was in the single digits, now it's in the double digits, okay? It's a mindset.
It's a mindset. And in our government, it's a mindset. In fact, in Wilmington, there's a fixed mindset. Reactive people, sorry guys, good old boy network, instead of us having a growth mindset, being proactive and transparent. Because when we're transparent, people know you for who you are. When we wear the mask, it's like, and it's almost like I think that may have something to do with us not really loving each other is wearing the mask. How does that mask come off? What do we do to bring our community together where we can be able to impact Wilmington? We're 70% black in Wilmington, but everybody's not growing. And if you have a city that's predominantly black and there's people that look like you, how come we're not growing? I don't get it. So help me, somebody. Help me with this, because change is going to come. It has to come, and I'm sure it will. But we have to begin to love each other. And I don't see a lot of that in our community where and when I say love, I'm talking about looking out for each other. You know, again, HBCU, Delaware Coalition. You know, we as HBCU graduates, I said, well, we only have one HBCU school in the state of Delaware, okay? Since I support Norfolk State, and we have Bennett here, we have Delaware State here, we have Hampton, we have Spelman, why we can't all come together?
But this is part of the reason we're having this symposium this week, because this harkens back to a time where African Americans had to look out for each other. And given the circumstances that they were dealing with in Oakland at the time with the police department, there were a group of blacks that just felt like we've got to take matters into our own hands here. And so this is part of the story. This is the part of the history that we're sharing here, and we're getting to hear it from past Black Panther Party members. And they can tell us exactly how it was like. And then we can look at that and maybe apply that to the more simulated age that we're in now, but with still some of the same issues that unfortunately they had back then.
Maybe. Okay,
and if I could say again, if we go back to the history of the party, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale went to Merritt College, and they actually started studying law, okay, to understand the law. And one of the earliest activities they engaged in was called policing the police, because the police would pull over black folk and accuse them of certain things. They did not necessarily know the law, the police. Of course, the African Americans did not know the law, but Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, and others would come up on these scenes and say, excuse me, you cannot do that, because in the California Code, and give the number, it is illegal to do this or do that. And so this really alarmed the establishment at that time, because, wow, here are some educated African Americans who know the law. And so they were being called out, just like now the Black Lives Matter movement is calling out what is happening in terms of the legal establishment. So again, as Mr. Holmes said, this is an important kind of program. The Black Panther Party was engaged in food programs, they had breakfast programs, they had health clinics. One of our scholars will talk about that. So they were community motivated, okay? They have been vilified in history, certainly. They did have individuals who engaged in crime and so forth and so on, but again, they were an organization who that was embedded in the community, and the government, the FBI, saw to it, placed informants in the group to disrupt the activities of assisting the black community. So this is the history that we're trying to put out there in terms of empowering our people and trying to create a sense of unity and not allow the larger forces to keep us at each other and keeping us from that unity that we need in the community.
I'm curious, I'm sure if this gets out in Wilmington about the symposium, I'm sure schools may even bring busloads now.
Well, that's what needs to happen.
You know, I think the churches, I think we need to talk about this in the church and just go down, you know, because we organize, and that's different colleges going to Delaware State's campus, you know, so I think we need to organize and go down and put it out there in the media to the churches. I'm sure if they can take buses down to the state of Delaware, to protest, they can take buses, or we can take buses, busloads down to Delaware State, because this is history. And I'm not talking about his version of the story. His version of the story. You have a sign here. Can you tell me about a little bit about your
Well,
sign?
actually, this is a poster that we've come up with to promote the program. And what you see, this picture is classic. Not only are there photographs that are iconic, one of the Black Panther members, Emory Douglas, was an artist and the Minister of Culture for the Black Panther Party. He had some very famous pictures, but we thought this was an important picture and representative of what the party did. You see young children here, and they're on their way to school, and the backdrop that you see on that building shows just how embedded the party was within Oakland and other cities across the country. And in fact, there even was a branch in Algeria. It was a worldwide movement and really brought consciousness about the plight of people of color. So this is basically an advertisement for our program. And if I could just say again about Delaware State as an HBCU, this is one of many programs that we have that try to raise the consciousness, the historical consciousness of our students. Last year we had Ilyasa Shabazz, who's one of the daughters of Malcolm X. As you know, 1965 was the 50th year anniversary of when Malcolm X was assassinated, and so we wanted our students to have that connection. We also had Mr. Tommy Smith, the iconic picture from the 1968 Olympics with the raised black glove. We brought him to Delaware State University so that the students can really see history as it was and as it is now in the flesh.
Awesome. I understand you wrote a book, or you have a book out, a novel?
A monograph.
A monograph. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Okay, the book is called Pharmacy in Senegal, Gender Healing and Entrepreneurship. And the book effectively is a history of medical professionals in French West Africa and post-colonial Senegal. So I start by looking at doctors, midwives, and pharmacists, and then I focus in on pharmacists, both in the colonial era and post-colonial era in Senegal.
Wow. Do you have to travel abroad to get more? I'm sure you.
Yes.
See, that's interesting. You see, Delaware. You see, Wilmington. You see that we have some heavy hitters here, and students. This is what we get, and we appreciate. I appreciate you. I know we all appreciate you, especially at Delaware State, because sometimes you hear some things about Delaware State that they have different programs and they're going to become a part of University of Delaware and all these types of things. That's not true.
Oh,
No.
that's no.
That's not,
I'm surprised that even rumor's still out there.
okay, but that's what I heard. You know, but I love my HBCUs.
You know, there's a history there in the 1950s when Delaware State College was struggling. There was some that suggested that maybe it would be a good idea to merge with the University of Delaware, and the University of Delaware was not feeling that one. And it really proved to be very much unnecessary, because we got through that troubling period and we started heading towards prosperity. And now we're getting ready to celebrate our 125th anniversary, May 15th, 1891. The state legislature and the governor agreed to establish the State College for Colored Students. And now on April 15th this year will be our beginning of our 125th anniversary.
I think that should be talked about here in Wilmington. As you said, the merger that they try to talk about, Delaware State and University of Delaware, you know, the same talk was in Virginia about Norfolk State merger with Old Dominion University. Understand at HBCUs we have challenges, but we have more successes than challenges. I guess sometimes people think when you have a challenge, it overwhelms everything, but you have to challenge. You know, you have to learn perseverance, and we all challenge. But one thing we do, we stick to what we have to do in order to be successful.
I don't think the people of Delaware really understand the success that's going on at Delaware State University right now. I mean, there are a lot of HBCUs that are in some struggling circumstances right now. But Delaware State University is actually one of the few ones, in fact, it may be the only one, that have not, in the recent economic, challenges that we've had in this country, Delaware State University is probably the only college that have not had enrollment challenges. our enrollment has kept going up and up and up and up, you know.
And what I can truly say, that from being in the job market, a lot of students that graduate from Delaware State are doing well. There's a lot of successes from Delaware State and they do well. And I'm like, hold on a second, we Norfolk State, we kind of do all right, but Delaware State, I really see a lot of success. And I'm seeing that more and more amongst the black colleges and universities. And that's why I feel that we, Delawareans here, that went to various colleges or various HBCUs, we really need to come together. We really need to stand up for you. There's some issues at Cheyney University right now, and I'm hoping that we as HBCU students and graduates band together. Let's go stand on Cheyney's campus so that they can be recognized. Let them know that there's power in numbers where we can all stand out there with our different shirts on Cheyney's campus and support what they're going through. And once we begin to support each other, we begin to grow together. And that's, I think, what we need. And speaking of colleges, Norfolk State and Delaware State play February 20th, basketball. The Norfolk State Spartans will be coming to Del State, and we, the alumni chapter, are hosting an HBCU meet and greet mixer over at the Fire and Ice Lounge at in Dover Downs. Please come. Please come. We play at 4:30, and the meet and greet is going to be at 12:30 until 3:30. Just to talk and get together and share our love with the HBCUs. Inviting you, Bennett. Inviting you, Del State. We need our young folk to get on board for sure, because then you'll be able to retire, then we'll be able to retire. You know, if I say you all be able to retire, then But we really need that to happen. Is there anything else you could tell me about your career at Del State?
Okay. Well, I'll start from the beginning.
Sure.
In terms of post-high school, my first 2 years I attended Oakwood University. It was Oakwood College then, a HBCU, a part of the United Negro College Fund. I transferred to University of Cincinnati. I'm a native Ohioan and got my bachelor's degree in history from there. I did my graduate work in history at the University of Michigan. My first teaching job as a historian was at The Ohio State University. I then went to Dillard University for 13 years, another prominent HBCU, and I have been at Delaware State University as a Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences since 2009.
Nice. Can you tell me a little about you?
In terms of my background,
Yes,
my undergraduate, I went to University of Houston, so public school. My graduate work, I went to Indiana University, where I majored in African history, and my subfields were Latin American Caribbean studies and African studies. And in terms of teaching, my first job was actually at Dillard University in New Orleans, which is an HBCU. And then I left, I went to Wellesley College, a women's college, and now I've come back to an HBCU to work at Delaware State.
Awesome.
I'm from Ohio. In fact, me and Dr. Stevenson are from the same town, Dayton, Ohio. I attended Ohio University and then later joined the Air Force, came back. Interestingly enough, got into newspaper business and wrote for the Delaware State News in Dover, Delaware for a number of years. And that went from there after about 8 or 9 years and began working at Delaware State University. And I've been there for 15 years now, and working in the Office of Public Relations, Director of News Services, dealing with media relations, public relations. And I've kind of grown into the role of a prominent university historian, where I've done a lot of research trying to recapture some of the history that we've kind of let slide by, and just kind of do some research to tell the story of Delaware State. It's a rich story. It's a story of perseverance, tenacity. At one point in time, there were about 300 HBCUs out there. Many of them didn't make it. Some of them merged with other schools. And there was a point in time that Delaware State University looked like it was on the brink of closure. But due to the presidents, the faculty, the students, the alumni, and some external help too, we got through that period in the 1950s, and the university has been on a remarkable journey ever since. And you talk to alumni that were at Delaware State College in 1950, and they come on campus now, they cannot believe the change there. It's just become a it's a university we're very proud of, And the story is not done yet at Delaware State University.
Right. And see, Wilmington, that's why it's important that we HBCU grads, alumni, students come together to support every historically black college and university. I asked her somehow, can we get for August Quarterly, I'm just putting it out there, we would like your band to come up for the August Quarterly celebration. We're trying to do a parade in Wilmington. I'm working on Norfolk State. We're trying to work on Lincoln University, Cheney, Del State. We'd love to have you. Del State participated in our August Quarterly parade 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Had an awesome time, and it's just how the HBCUs and the black churches, how we come together. And the community really needs to see more of this all the time. Speaking of the colleges, the city of Wilmington, Mayor Dennis Williams' Department of Parks and Recreation, they're having a spring college tour, and they're going to be traveling to North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Their time that they're leaving is March 27th through April 1st, 2016, and it's for high school students, grades 10 through 12. They're going to be visiting North Carolina Wesleyan University, East Carolina University, Savannah State University, Florida State University, Florida A&M University, Bethune-Cookman University, Jacksonville State University, and Fayetteville State University. Of course, they didn't put Norfolk State University. I get it because that's not in North Carolina. But I appreciate Parks and Recreation and City of Wilmington for putting on such a college fair, and we need to get our kids in college. You know, one of these days I'd like to see a row of alumni houses, of HBCU houses, just a row of them on the streets. You can go to Delaware State House, get information, Norfolk State House, get information. You know, like back in the day on TV, they used to have the fraternity houses. But I like to see, I vision seeing our alumni houses so they can reach out and touch, where our students get to see, talk to you guys, so they can find out what their black college experience is like, as far as a professor, as far as students, and it's very important in our community. I do appreciate you all. I thank God for you. Can you one more time give us the date of the symposium?
Yes, the symposium begins on Wednesday, February the 3rd at 6 p.m. We will be showing the award-winning film Vanguard of the Revolution, the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. That will be at 6 p.m. in the Martin Luther King Student Center.
So if you missed that at the In Theater, when it was at the In Theater for one hot weekend, you're going to have a chance to catch it at Delaware State University free of cost.
Free of charge, open to the public. Please come. On Thursday, February the 4th, we will have a symposium featuring one of the founders of the Black Panther Party. Mr. Bobby Seale will be there as the keynote, and then we will have 2 afternoon sessions. Dr. Charles Jones, Dr. Alondra Nelson, Lynn French, and Paul Coates of the Black Panther Party.
Again, I thank you for all that you do in the lives of people. Thank you for coming up. I hope that you're safe. You know, we're going to get a blizzard, but thank you, and we're going to ask you to come back. We're going to ask you to come back.
Sure.
Thank you in Wilmington. See you next time.
And now, it's time to experience the real.
you.